On August of 2015, I had to move to New York City all by myself. It was halfway through summer, and the only time that I spent with my parents was when I worked at the restaurant with them. The rest of the day I spent outside with my friends at the beach or just having parties. I had money and I had a lot of time, so I spent most of my time outside of the house. One day my parents came up to me and told me that we are relocating the restaurant to New York, and they had already enrolled me in a school in Long Island. At first, I was really mad at them because they made all these decisions without telling me. They even enrolled me in a school. I was mad, but after a while, I realized how amazing that sounded. I was going to the best city in the world. I love big cities, I always did because I grew up in one. And New York, that was the ultimate city. So after the first couple of days that I was mad at them, I became psyched. I wanted to see New York City so bad. I wanted to try bagels. I wanted to go to Coney Island. I wanted to go to Queens, to Brooklyn, to all those amazing cities that I saw in movies. What made it more amazing was that August came and my parents couldn't sell the restaurant. It was the time that we were supposed to move, but my parents couldn't move with me. So instead of us all going there together, I went to New York City all by myself. That sounded amazing. I was in the Big Apple. I was in the big city. I could do anything I wanted without my parents holding me back. But at this time, I was only 15 and I couldn't live by myself. So my parents sent me to my dad's sister, my aunt, that I've only seen a couple of times before. I moved in with my aunt in New York City on August 15th. The first few days were amazing. I would take the Long Island Railroad to Manhattan. I would roam the cities. I loved Times Square. I loved everything about Manhattan. I had so many bagels the first few days. New York style pizzas were amazing. Everything was great. But after the first few days, everything started to get really boring. I left all my friends back at home, and I had no one in New York. My parents didn't move yet, so I didn't have a job at the restaurant. So all my days were spent in one room, in one tiny room, in my aunt's house. Needless to say, New York wasn't the New York I was expecting. It wasn't even New York. I was living in Long Island, and Long Island was boring. I wasn't living in Brooklyn. I wasn't living in Queens. I wasn't living in the cities that all the comic books that I read happened. Nor was I in the city that was destroyed in every alien movie that I watched. No, I was in Great Neck. And the most interesting thing there were grocery stores and old ladies. And I had nothing to do besides standing in my room or playing video games. And when the boredom was still settling in, I realized that without my parents, I had a lot of things to do on my own. I had to pay bills, I had to take care of a lot of things before they came home. Honestly, the things that I expected from me were not too much. I was just immature and I was bored. So I just wanted something to tell myself that my life sucks. The only thing I had to do was paying the phone bills and the cable bills before my parents came, and I had to shop for myself. There was nothing too much, but at the time, because I was so stressed and I had no friends at the time, I just wanted to feel bad, and that was where the problem started. My boredom gradually became anxiety, and my anxiety overflowed the day that I realized that I forgot to pay the bills. I got a text from Verizon that said that I didn't pay the bills, and that was where I broke down. I was devastated. I felt worthless. I didn't know what else to do. I had no job, no friends, and I was lonely. And the only thing that I could do was panic. And to make things worse, This was the time that school started. My parents were still back at home, and my aunt spent most of her days outside. So I was alone half of the days. And I just couldn't deal with my stuff on my own. I was too stubborn to call my friends and ask for help, and I was way too stubborn to ask my aunt for help. Until one day in school, someone came up to me and asked what's wrong. I was so much in my own shell that I didn't realize how awful I looked from the outside. I spent my days